He is at the center of the storm. Chuck,
he really is.
Todd, will you shave off the goatee?
Hey, look, I was just under an incredible amount of peer pressure, and I held it off because, you know, I'm just not going to be bullied, Joe. I know that there's so many people here, push, and there's too many good charities that'll benefit if I
just shut up. No way. You know, here's the deal. I will pay your $1,000. By the way, here's the backstory. Jake Tapper, ABC's chief White House correspondent, Jake Tapper, says if the Dodgers lose, you got to shave off your goatee. Chuck Todd says, okay. And then he starts going, oh, what's this? You know what? I'm going to write a check to that made-up charity you're talking about. You shave off the goatee. Robert Gibbs. Robert Gibbs, do you have an instrument with you right now?
Yes, he does.
I have the, I don't know if Chuck uses soothing aloe, but we have soothing aloe.
Yeah, he uses soothing aloe.
And, come on, Chuck. Be a man.
And a little razor. We could probably have this thing done by, what, like 7:30?
Yeah. What do you think, Robert?
Yes.
What do you think? Do you think if I agree to pay the $1,000 to Chuck's made-up charity,
it's more like,
or what? Match it. And Lawrence is going to match it, and Mort is going to match it if he'll shave off the mustache.
No pressure.
I tell you.
No pressure.
Wait. It's either all gone or all staying. This idea of soul patch, mustache, or just a fan.
I think that's a compromised position.
Not a good idea.
Maybe just right there on the chin, just sort of on the.
Are you dithering?
I had one person say I could actually, change profiles.
All right. Well, we need to. This is very important, but we need to talk about obviously something much more important right now. Robert Gibbs, Alabama, #1. Auburn's lost 2 in a row, and it's just
I was at the game last week, and it was 45 degrees and windy, and boy, it got colder as the game went on. It seemed it was not pretty.
Cold on the plains. Hey, let me ask you something. You said here on Dick Cheney, we've been talking about it all morning. You said, I think it's pretty safe to say that the vice president was for 7 years not focused on Afghanistan. That's not fair, is it? You don't think he was focused on Afghanistan for 7 years?
It's not fair. It's probably 7.5.
Yeah, okay. So you don't think the vice president was focused on Afghanistan, the center of the war on terror, for 7.5 years?
You know, there's plenty of quotes of him saying everything's fine in Afghanistan. Everything doesn't appear fine in Afghanistan. I don't understand. I said this yesterday, and I'll say it again. What the former vice president thinks is dithering, Barack Obama believes is his solemn responsibility to those men and women in uniform and to the American people to get this strategy right. We know what happens when you don't take that responsibility seriously. General McKiernan requested during the Bush administration an additional 30,000 troops to Afghanistan, a request that sat on desks like Dick Cheney right over there in the White House for months.
Mika?
I don't understand why he's taken a sudden interest in Afghanistan in his retirement.
Well, while I would agree, actually, I think it was a low blow. I do have a question for you, Robert. When do you think you will have a clear strategy on Afghanistan, a way forward there, and a sense of what exactly you're going to do with troop numbers?
Mika, I think in the coming weeks, I think in the next several weeks, the president will make a decision and announce that decision and talk to the American people about the interest that we have in this region of the world.
Hey, does the president still consider Afghanistan a war of necessity?
We have to make sure that that country doesn't allow, the Taliban there doesn't allow Al-Qaeda a safe haven from which to plan attacks on this country.
So as you hold the shaving cream in your left hand, is that a yes? Does he consider Afghanistan a war of necessity?
Absolutely.
Okay, hey, David Gregory's in Washington, D.C. David, you can talk about Afghanistan or the goatee. Take it away.
I do want to point out that if you look at the contrast, how clean cut Robert Gibbs looks this morning compared to our friend Chuck.
A baby's bottom comes to mind.
Come on, you got to have a little sympathy for me.
But I do have a question for Robert Gibbs, Robert, on Afghanistan, and I know that the president has not made up his mind about resources, but has the president decided whether he would like to commit U.S. forces in Afghanistan until that country is stable? Will he make that commitment?
Well, look, that's part of the review that's ongoing. Understanding, David, a lot of discussion that's been had this week is on our partner in Afghanistan. Obviously, we're now going to have a runoff election to ensure the legitimacy of the next government for the Afghan people, and ultimately their legitimacy for the international community. But we've also got to make progress on governance and corruption, whomever is in charge of that country, so that as American forces secure the area in Afghanistan, that eventually we can transfer control of these areas and the security responsibilities that go along with them to the Afghans themselves. They have to be a partner that's able to accept and hold the areas that are ultimately cleared.
Hey, Robert,
but you won't say that we'll definitely stay there till it's stable.
Kind of government.
Well, I'm not going to get ahead of the president's review on this, David. Obviously, we have important national security interests in Afghanistan and Pakistan, and the president is spending an important amount of time trying to get this right, and not dithering.
Robert, 2 quick questions. Would you, if they ask for more troops to protect for the election, just a quick, is there going to be any ask by the Afghan government for more protection for their election?
We spent about an hour yesterday, the president did, with Ambassador Eikenberry, and there were no additional requests for security forces between now and November the 7th to secure for the election.
And what do you say for, Vice President Cheney had his own criticism, but what do you say to the criticism that says waiting a certain amount of time does put the troops that are in the battlefield right now, maybe they just don't know what the next plan is going to be, that having that indecision out there affects the current battlefield?
You know, I'll tell you this story, Joe. I was in Auburn last week, as you know.
Yes.
And after the game, we went out.
You guys win or lose, by the way. I was away from the TV set this weekend.
We barely lost. Does that count? No, but this is a serious story.
Go ahead. I can't wait to hear it. Go ahead, Robert.
We were out, and two guys came up to me and said that they were recent graduates of West Point. One was stationed at Fort Benning, which is not far from Auburn, in Columbus, Georgia, which is the largest infantry training center in the world, and another was in the airborne at Fort Bragg. And they asked me to tell the president that they thanked him for taking the time to get this thing right.
Darn straight.
Those are 2 men and women. 2 men in uniform. And I think the president's going to do what he thinks is right, and I think the American people will be proud of the review that's going on and the decision that will be made.
And I think most Americans want their president to make the right decision and take the time it takes to do that. I'll tell you, I can guarantee you those men that you were talking to, the men and women in uniform and their families, who have been through what they've been through over the past 8 years, want to make sure they get it right. A very serious story. You're exactly right. Said while holding shaving cream and a razor. It's called
Morning Joe.